Okay, it is 3 o'clock Central European Time. Unfortunately, I do believe we're missing one of the panelists. I don't see that Charlotte is logged in. Does anyone know if she's on the way? We could give her a moment or two. Maybe I will ask the Danish national coordinator to verify behind the scenes. Or if anyone in the tech support group knows what's going on.
Unfortunately not, but I will contact Lorna directly.
Okay, thank you very much. But I think that anyway, like I said, this is 3 o'clock, and this is the last webinar in this 2 days of digital events. And what we're having today is a panel discussion hosting management representatives from the Nordic authorities. And the theme for the panel discussion is national plans in the Nordics after Nordic Way 3 project. My name is Anna Johansson Jacks, and I will try to guide us through this hour, and hopefully we'll have a full panel here in a few moments. But before I present our panel, I will give you a quick run through the setup that we have for this time together here we have today. First of all, I wanted to inform you that the webinar is recorded, and we will start by giving each of the panelists time to address the theme individually, meaning national plans in the Nordics after Nordic Way 3. And they will have about 5 to 7 minutes to present their national plans and challenges and priorities. And after that, I will open up the discussion and give you, the audience, an opportunity to participate with questions and reflections. And we're not going to use the chat functionality for this. Rather, I would like you to raise your digital hand, and I will try to manage your questions in order. And when I will give you the word, then you will be able to turn on your microphone and preferably your camera too, if you would like, and pose your question verbally. Otherwise, your microphones and cameras are turned off by default for this session, except for the panelists and the moderator, of course. We will not have the chat function like I mentioned, and that is mostly due to the limitation of your moderator today. But we will open up the chat after we end the session for about 15 minutes. So you can write down your questions, reflections, and comments there, and if we didn't have time to cover it during this hour. So we will, of course, at the end then, to the best of our ability, address them and get back to you as well. Let's see if I have any comments from the tech support about our fourth panelist. Do we have any information? Otherwise, I think we will just go on and hopefully, yes, Alva.
She will get a new link. Her link is not working.
Oh, yeah, I had the problem yesterday. So we will hope that Charlotte will come in and we'll just get a little bit of a different presentation order then, and maybe take Denmark last, if that's okay with the rest of you panelists. But for now, let's do a quick little presentation of the panelists that we have online until Charlotte joins us. And we do have Peter Åsman, Head of Unit Freight and ITS from the Swedish Transport Administration. You want to try your microphone, Peter?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks. And we have Antti Paasiletto, a Senior Ministerial Advisor from the Finnish Ministry of Transport and Communications. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great. And Hans Vestien, Senior Engineer at the Norwegian Public Roads Administration. Welcome, Hans.
Thank you very much.
Great. And I think that you all feel free to keep your microphones open if there are any comments and questions that you want to post between yourself too. Feel free to join in during the meeting. I think that we will just then go on and let's give the word then to Finland and Antti, if you would be prepared and give us a little viewpoint from the eastern part of the Nordic collaboration project here. What are your visions for the future now when we're closing down Nordic White Tree project?
Well, thank you very much, Anna, and greetings from a very snowy Helsinki, eastern heart of the Scandinavia. It's been snowing very heavily today. Well, first of all, I would like to start by saying that I've been following the presentations and sessions, most of them during these 2 days, and I think the seminar has clearly vindicated that this community is truly extraordinary. The Nordic family is something very special. It is a group of friendly, forward-looking and highly skilled experts who very kindly and actively share their ability to change the operating environment where transport, mobility and logistics currently operate. We share information, we try to find best practices and kind of solve problems. And in a way, I think that as the Nordic Way project now comes to an end, this is a bit like a family situation when the children move away. It's a very sad moment, but at the same time, we have to find joy from it and kind of feel very privileged for the time that we have spent together. And that is certainly my feelings today. And as in the family, we can stay very confident that the connection, the interaction, the discourse will continue in the future. So that is clearly a reason to be happy about. Well, if I go to the actual topics that Anna referred to, first of all, the challenges. One of the evenings I was looking at the nightly sky trying to see the northern lights, and I started to think that the landscape where we are trying to push forward the digital transition is a bit like the stars and the star constellations in the sky. There's a lot of twinkling, there's a lot of activity and energy. Some of the stars have been connected and established as constellations, but we are still far away from a very connected and well-coordinated entity. And I would say that one of the main challenges that we have to overcome in the future years is to find the right way to connect and coordinate all our efforts when we try to build a new digital operating environment. We need same basic structures, operating principles, and operating logic throughout the whole environment. Nevertheless, the sector or country, we need to have the basic principles there so that we can fully utilize the possibilities that data offers us, and we can kind of take into use new technologies and establish new solutions and services. So this interoperability and close coordination is something that Finland certainly is going to work for in the coming years. We need to connect the initiatives. We have to introduce better continuity for the project so that when a project ends, it doesn't physically end, but the results and the good discussions still continue and find another forum or way where these kind of efforts can be taken further. And in that respect, we want to certainly in the forthcoming years promote further deployment in the ITS sector. We have done a lot of analyses, we have done a lot of work to kind of find the right ways. Now we should start deploying more because the businesses are currently struggling very much to find new business models that operate or are attractive in the digital environment. So if we are able to promote further deployment, this will help the business models to evolve, and this will give food for new innovations and for new services. This is something that we certainly want to do. And with reference to the matters that have been discussed in this seminar, particularly this morning from the Finnish perspective, CITS is one of the areas where we are eager to continue our work to extend our understanding of how we should establish the new operating environment for the CITS services, how we can utilize the existing technologies to provide these services, and how can we make sure that they are secure and people can trust these services. So with respect to possible future projects, we are currently working on to possibly be part of this Verkko initiative, which is the old Meridian Corridors project, which is going to be extended, but it's going to be a completely new project. And initially it's been given the name Verkko, and we are kind of analyzing our possibilities to be part of that. And obviously the Sea Roads Extended is another project that we are very interested in and keen on continuing our work. Well, perhaps that was enough as a kind of basic introduction. So I'm looking forward to the discussions and the questions. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Antti. And I will take opportunity to say welcome to Charlotte. I'm glad you could make it into the web of links, meeting links. Can we try your microphone to see that you're with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can
Thank
you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I have a sore throat, so my voice is somewhat reduced, but I'll try to speak up.
Great. So
and if I'm coughing in between, then it's because of my throat. I'm sorry about that.
No problems. I think we all feel a little bit of that this time of year. But so we have now Charlotte Witten, the Director of Traffic Management and Traffic Data from Danish Road Directorate, also with us. And so Charlotte, we'll give you a few minutes breather, and we'll have you to present the Danish position last, so you have some time to get settled into the meeting. And thanks for Antti and the Finnish presentation, and I think we'll move on then to Petter and Sweden. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I can also say that we have a lot of snow here in Borlänge, where I'm in our office in middle of Sweden. I will every fourth year the Swedish Transport Administration gets an assignment from our government for the upcoming infrastructure budget. And we are right now in the middle of this work, and in January we will give our recommendations for the coming budget on infrastructure in Sweden. Even though the transport system or the transport infrastructure in Sweden have been prioritized in the last budgets, we see that it is becoming more and more challenging to even keep up with the maintenance and reinvestments of the infrastructure that we have, and let alone make new investments in infrastructure. So this also accounts for the investments in ITS. We can see that reinvestments and expansion in line with our own goals on traditionally ITS is very challenging. Sweden have as you all know, a widespread road network. The state roads only are about 100,000 kilometers, and we have about 40,000 kilometers of municipal roads. And large parts of Sweden is also sparsely populated. However, also parts of the road network with less traffic would benefit from some of the functionality with higher levels of traffic management and traffic information. For example, during holidays and bigger events, like in the part of Sweden where I live, Vasaloppet, the ski race, or the bike race Vätternrundan. Or when we have major incidents, for example, the landslide that we had on the E6 on the west coast this autumn, that triggered the need for improved or rerouting for traffic when we have these kinds of incidents. We also see that the uptake of users of different digital services is a possibility for us to achieve our long-term objectives with less need of investment in traditional ITS installations. A modern car is always connected, and the navigation and more advanced driving systems is always on, unless the driver actively turns it off. This is a somewhat new possibility, but we want to know more about how the driver behaves when he uses these systems, and we want to use them in able to fulfill the objectives that we have for the transport system. We need solutions which are more cost effective and give new functionality by giving a more geographically flexible solution for the traffic management and traffic information without major investments in the road infrastructure. How can we, with these restrictions on, for example, budget that we have, use what we have learned, for example, in the Nordic Way projects, to implement solutions that solve the imminent problems that we have? To mention one specific case that we are right now conducting, conducting a pre-study in the region of Gävle, which is a city a bit north on the east coast, north of Stockholm, where we have a situation where we have high traffic on holidays, causing temporary capacity problems. And for this specific case, we think that some services, digital services that we are especially interested in, could mitigate the capacity problem that we have during this holiday season, etc. And these are, for example, variable speed limitation, ban of overtaking, and rerouting. In the pre-study, we are focusing on what requirements that needs to be met in order to achieve the objectives on capacity management in the specific case, but with the objective that this also will give benefits in a broader geographical context. The Nordic Way projects have been successful in demonstrating the possibilities in how to deliver digital services to vehicles and drivers that builds on collaboration between several partners in an ecosystem. What we see is that the challenges are not mainly technical. The Nordic project have shown how we can communicate and share data that builds the digital services that we need and want. The challenges mainly lay in how we cooperate and how we can work together, finding long-term sustainable business models. As I said, we are currently conducting this pre-study on some of the initiatives requiring data sharing capabilities. The pre-study for the region of Gävle that I mentioned will be ready in the first quarter of next year. And one of the capabilities that will be needed is and as well, we need that also for a couple of other cases, is the possibility to share and exchange data with partners that will be involved in order to make the digital services possible. We are therefore in parallel investigating what specific demands we need for this data exchange. And depending on the outcome of this pre-study, we are investigating the possibility to launch a procurement for these capabilities needed in order to go forward with the initiative, for example, in the project in Gävle during next year. So this is some of the things that we are currently working on the Swedish Transport Administration side that I want to share with you today. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Petter, for a good description of the big picture and the future plans. So let's move on westward then to Hans. And I'm assuming there's also snow in Norway, and then you can present the plans going forward.
Yes, thank you very much, Anna. We got some snow coming in from Sweden just this afternoon, so it's very much like a Christmas card outside, so very nice. I think we in Norway share much of the thought that Antti gave us about the Nordic family. We have been cooperating many years in many projects, covering a lot of issues. And we can see, even though we are a small part of Europe, we are not that small in importance every time, because we are very often ahead of technology development and piloting. From the Nordic Project 3 project in Norway, we feel that maybe the main contribution or achievement we got was the establishment of the interchange node. We used it in Lisbon to demonstrate roadworks warning, and it was very nice to see and listen to all the reactions we got when we actually could see from this 1 second later that one pushed the button on a mobile phone and now starting roadworks, and you could see it in the car. We have been doing piloting for many years in more closed or artificial environments, but the interchange node is an open ecosystem, and it was very nice to establish and use it for demonstration. So that will also be one of the things that we are planning to do in Norway, is to put out a tender for managing this interchange node for a 3-year period, just to give the commercial suppliers a trust in this ecosystem, at least for 3 years, so that they will start to develop more services based on this ecosystem. There is a lot of things we are planning to do in Norway. The roadworks warning is a very important service, and we will cooperate with Mesta, which is one of the biggest entrepreneurs in Norway. They have a very strong interest in this to reduce the number of damages on equipment, and of course also to lower the risk for the people working out in the roads. So that is one priority. We have 2 ongoing activities. We are currently developing a national strategy for automated transport in Norway, asked for by the ministry. This is not only for the road transport, but as for the transport sector as a whole. In addition, we have our own digital first strategy in the Norwegian Public Roads Administration, where we have 3 areas we are focusing on. It's the digital road, it's digital services for the users, and it's a digital value chain from the point that you start to plan a road and then build it and then operate and maintaining it. This is given a lot of focus, and actually today I'm attending a technology day where we try to look at possibilities for technology and sustainability in the near future. So these are all important issues in Norway. It was also mentioned here that we need to put more focus on deployment in a real setting. We have done a lot of testing, we have done a lot of piloting. We feel that we have a good understanding of the possibilities and the weaknesses in the technology. But then again, it's about the organization. We are a public body, and you all know that this puts some focus on how to operate and how not to operate. In addition, we have had a lot of changes in the organization of the road ownership in Norway, so that the counties have got a lot more responsibility, and we have this state-owned company that are building and maintaining part of the main road network in addition to the Norwegian Public Roads Administration. But all in all, here in Trondheim, we have the big university, NTNU. We have the SINTEF, and we have our own technology department. So we will continue to focus a lot on ITS, CITS in Norway, and hopefully in further close cooperation with the other Nordic countries and road operators. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hans, and nice to hear that you're touching on some of the deployment, meaning the interchange that you actually achieved through the project, and also some of the services and what's going on future-wise in Norway. So let's see, Charlotte in Denmark, is your voice holding up?
I'll hope so.
Okay, good luck.
Well, we're talking about snow. I can say that we don't have any snow in Copenhagen. We have absolutely a sunny day. Very, very nice. Very clear and sunny. Well, I haven't heard all of you speaking, so maybe I will repeat some of the things you said. I'm sorry about that, but as I heard from Hans, I really very much agree with about the interchange node, that it is one of the main results from the Nordic Way 3 project. And I'm really happy to hear that you will continue the operation. However, I think there's a lot of issues that still has to be solved, like governance, data access, and other issues. But we will work on that, I think. Jumping to the national plans after Nordic Way 3, I can tell that Denmark, the Danish government decided last year a historical large amount of money. They have set aside a lot of money to carry out or expand the overall roadway network in Denmark, and it's called the Infrastructure Plan 2035. And this means that in the next 10 years or so, we will carry out a lot of roadworks with a view to expanding the existing roads. And as you know, maybe we have in Denmark very good experience with ITS to manage the traffic during the roadworks. But unfortunately, we still see many accidents when we carry out roadworks, both where road workers are injured, but also the road users themselves, mostly because of that the cars or the drivers are inattentive. We also have had some very serious accidents in connection with incident management, for instance, where road workers have to patch some potholes or remove some objects from the road. So we need some additional tool so that we can warn the road users about roadworks further ahead. And here we see the use of CITS as a very important additional tool. We think, or we hope, that the implementation of CITS services for roadworks warning will improve the traffic safety of the roadworks by warning the road users in advance, of course, but also and hence improve the network reliability. And we think that if we're going to implement the CITS service, it should, of course, be implemented in line with the C-Roads specifications. We have decided to join the CEF application regarding Verco, and we have done that because we think that we see that evidence from the most advanced CITS deployments countries really indicates that in order to achieve CITS interoperability throughout Europe, or maybe even just in a region or in a country, we need a close cooperation between all the key responsible stakeholders for the specific service. And we also think that further sharing of knowledge in Europe is very, very key to us in Denmark. In our national approach to CITS services deployment for roadworks warning, the first phase will be a preparation phase, focusing on which use cases should we actually choose for the implementation at the Danish network, and we will concentrate on the core and the comprehensive road network. After the preparation phase, we need a strategic discussion, maybe also a political discussion, and subsequent a decision on the scale of the implementation and the extent. And the ultimate goal is a large-scale deployment of relevant CITS services connected to roadworks warning in Denmark. I think I was also asked what are the largest challenges I see on a national level. And I think one of the current big challenges on all the levels is the lack of a European trust certificate system to secure exchange of information, messages, and warnings between vehicles, infrastructure, and service providers, and so on. And my Christmas wish I would I would say is that this task will be handled in the near future. I think that the EC has stated that they will establish a European Trust Certificate body, so I really hope for that. I think that's all for me as start. Would that be all right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Charlotte. And I think it was really interesting to hear some of your comments on the interchange as one of the main results. I think at least a few of the panelists pointed out that that is one of the main results from the project that is really going to be carried forward, even through procurement that's already on the way, a procurement that might be happening pretty soon, and also some governance models and stuff that we worked on together. Another theme I think I picked up from you four is also the togetherness or the collaboration that a few of you pointed out, that it has been serving us very well in the past, and it will be serving us in the future to collaborate further with knowledge and also solutions for CITS deployments. A little bit of a fun fact, I think, is also that several of you are pointing out just one specific service, the roadwork warning, as a main focus going forward. And that's something that possibly will actually be truly deployed in several of our countries, and maybe also in a very large geographical area then, which is very nice to see. So before I open up for the audience to post any questions, I want to give you as panelists an opportunity. If there's something else that you would like to add before we open up, or a question that you have for one of each other, feel free to chime in if there's anything in particular you want to say before we start with the audience. Antti.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to react to a few of the comments that were presented. First of all, with reference to Hans raising this issue of interchange node and that Norway is going to continue the operation of the node, I'm very pleased to inform as well that in Finland we are having discussions that the state-owned company Fintraffic would continue the operation of the Finnish interchange node. So hopefully we can continue cooperation on the questions relating to the interchange node, just like Charlotte mentioned, that there are a lot of issues that still need to be tackled. So hopefully we can continue this work. With reference to what Peter was talking about, digitalization and the new services becoming mainstream, this is more a kind of a funny incident. We have a new government in Finland, and in the ministry we are currently drafting a new strategy for the whole administrative field of transportation and communications. And the first draft was just presented within the ministry, and every single title or chapter that was written to the strategy had the word digital or data in it. We only need to go back 5 or some years, and it was only transport or communication. Now suddenly everything is digital and data, and this is certainly pushing through everywhere and becoming very quickly mainstream for us all. And obviously I'm very happy that Denmark is participating in the Verkko application. That was a very positive news, and very delighted to hear that. So that's more or less what I wanted to comment right away. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Antti. Anyone else who'd like to say something before we open up the floor for questions? Okay, then let's get ready for comments and questions and reflections from the audience. I hope that you will not be shy and put some hard questions out there on the floor for us to discuss here. And you do that by raising your digital hand, and then you will be able to post your questions verbally. And I don't really see anyone doing it so far. So I can then, I guess, start with asking specific question when it comes to some of the governance issues and stuff that we've been discussing or had heard from some of you earlier. So when it comes to your organization, do you have a clear picture of your role in the ecosystem of these digitally connected transport system? And can you describe that position for you from the organization that you represent? And what would that role be? And can you maybe give an example possibly of something that goes beyond your responsibility? What do you see as not your organization's role in this ecosystem of the digitally connected transport system? I can possibly, I see if anyone's looking happy in the panel, but I will then, just since I'm Swedish, sitting a few kilometers away from Petter, I will ask Petter first. But the other ones, you will also have an opportunity to comment on that thought of the role of your organization in this ecosystem. What is your task? What's beyond your responsibility? Can you reflect a little bit of that on that, or the challenges on the whole ecosystem and the actor?
Yes. Well, your first question, if we know our role, I think the question is both yes and no. So I think the ecosystem is developing. We made a position paper a couple of years ago where we tried to elaborate what we see as our role in this ecosystem, and that was basically a view to strengthen the dialogue with our partners that we have that we need to cooperate with in this development. As I said in my introduction, we have challenges both on our objectives that we need to achieve and also on the budget side. And here we see possibilities with the digital services that are evolving. We have made some investigations to understand what drivers, what vehicles, how big part of the fleet that we could reach. We don't know exactly what the effects that we could bring, but we want to go further in testing and implementing in some specific cases, because we think that is needed in order to get the next step. One of the challenges that we have is that we are responsible for the planning of the transport system in Sweden, but we are mainly responsible for the state road network, and that means that our role when it comes to make investments, we have to basically focus on the state road network, and that is of course a challenge in this respect when we have some discussions on where our role is when it comes to, for example, an interchange node. We can see that we have a need in some of the specific projects that we see, but it's not obvious what our role is as to the whole network, even though it's clear that this might be what is needed actually. So that is some elaboration on some of the challenges that we see, and also what we see is as our role in the system. I will stop there and make room for the other panelists as well.
Yes, thanks, Petter. I think you pointed out the challenge with the different levels of government, right? The municipalities, the private roads, and the federal roads. And I think there's similar challenges as well. Charlotte, do you have a comment or reflection?
Yes, I do. I think it's a really difficult question, but I think in some areas, I think that we have defined our role in the ecosystem. For instance, the Road Directorate back in 2019, we decided to leave the majority of the market for traffic information to the private players, and therefore we have a strong focus on data sharing and cooperation with other actors. where the goal is to ensure that data related to safety gets out, and it also gets out correct on the service providers' platforms and services. And we also have a focus on that we deliver data from the Road Directorate. We put a lot of effort into that we deliver data in a good quality and in the right standards. And we also put aside a lot of effort in having a dialogue with as I said, with the service providers. And we also try very much to see if we can use data from other sources, not collecting them ourselves, but use data from other sources, because in the end, we need to solve our task in a cost-effective way. So in some areas, I think we are quite clear, but in other areas, we are not that clear.
Thank you, Charlotte. And if I may ask a follow-up question for you, then you do have a way of distributing traffic information from the Road Directorate, the public data, to the service providers. Would you see any benefit of expanding that functionality or that capability to an interchange, even though you have capability somewhat today already?
Yes. Well, yes, but well, our goal is actually not to conduct task ourselves that we think that others are much better at. And the issue of traffic information, we think that there are more, as I said, more players that are much better in doing that than ourselves. So that could be the same in other areas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I think if I can continue just a little bit of a question then to Hans. I think in your introduction, you commented on that you have gone through some reorganizations when it comes to responsibilities for different types of the road network in Norway. And have you seen that there has been easier or more difficult for you to move towards deployment given these type of new organizations? Or could you elaborate a little bit on that and how you're moving forward in this different view?
It has not for sure been easier. One of the official responsibilities of the Norwegian Public Roads Administration is to manage the national road database. This database contains information about all the road segments with objects linked to the road. And one of the challenges is, of course, to get data from the counties and from the at least from the counties about their own road network, and that is due to in many counties and in mature organizations, since it's quite new for them. And luckily we did this reorganization and change just before the pandemic, so meaning it wasn't made any easier by that either. So that is a challenge for us. And but again, we have this role of maintaining and managing this national road database. So that is one of the clear roles that we have. Another clear role for us is doing traffic management, because we have the responsibility for the 5 road traffic centrals. And I would also say we have this discussion about data collection and data distribution and how to do it. And personally, for me, I think we need to make a more sharper separation between, call it service-oriented data about queues, about smaller incident, and regulatory data, because in the future we see that also dynamic regulations will be distributed out from our regulatory part. And I think it will be one challenge to separate between those two data sets, because the regulations can be mandatory, while call it service-oriented data is not. So I think that will be a challenge. We are putting a lot of effort these days and in the coming years into increasing the quality of the national road database, because it's quite old. So there has now been done a lot of work on upgrading the technical architecture of the database, and in addition, we are running a large project to establish suitable and reliable interfaces on this road database, along with working processes. One of the main issues is, okay, we know that the vehicles have a lot of data, but are we able to actually get the data and put it into systems and make information and meaning out of the data, or will it just be gigabytes with data that we don't know how to utilize? So I think that in short is some of the challenges related to our future role in this effect.
Thank you, Hans. And I think that it's a good reasoning that you're doing, basing your current responsibilities and moving that into the digital framework, like your national road database and your traffic management, and seeing what can we do, but in the automated digital connected transport system. So a good way of going forward. I'm a little bit surprised that I'm not seeing any raised hands from the audience. So I'm going to ask the technical support. Since we have shy participants, maybe we could open up the chat. I will really try to keep an eye on it. And I will, while we're waiting for see if someone wants to pose a question through the chat, then I will actually reflect a little.
Seems like the technical team just cut off our
The
chairperson.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was wrong with me, but there was something wrong here, but I guess not.
Yes, they are working hard to get Anna back into her position.
This gives the audience the opportunity to ask wild questions when the moderator is not present.
No, I am present.
Oh, you are still there.
I'm not really sure what happened there, but at least you can hear me. There you go. Sorry. Okay. Sorry for the messing with the preset rules of this panel discussion. Or do we still have Petter with us? I don't see him. Okay, I'm sure he'll log in. But so I was anyway. I was thinking about one thing you said, Antti, that you said that we want to go for deployment, and we also are the businesses that would help us as authorities to move into this digital transport systems are struggling. And one thing that came to mind during the evaluation presentation this afternoon was that there's really not a business model for these CITS services when it comes to services that have, the societal benefits, where we can't really put the benefits of the services right into the pocket of the authority who pays for them. So do you have any comments or any thoughts on these societal benefits? We're talking about saved lives in general, etc. How would we, as authorities, how can we use that, or what's our way forward to be able to reach deployment for these type of services?
Ooh, that's a very difficult question, and if I knew the answer, I think we would be deploying the services already. But if I try to come up with some kind of explanation, if we think about the past developments in other areas of our society where digitalization has already gone further ahead, I think the businesses need to have a lucrative start so that they can really start investing and putting emphasis on the new area that is to be taken over. So in that respect, when we go towards the digitalization of transport, mobility and logistics, we have to kind of proceed with, let's call them killer applications or use cases, that we have to get the businesses on board with those so that they can see that this is actually something where they can create added value to their customers and to themselves. And I believe that once they get the line open, so to say, more services will come, and even those services that at this point don't seem attractive, but at some point they want to move to those areas because there are customers who want to have those services, either pay for them or take them as part of a service package or something. So I believe that if we are able to establish a good opening for the market, for the businesses, good things will follow. So I have my fingers crossed, and I'm looking further ahead to the future.
Okay, so a little pep talk for the authorities to take a step forward there. Yes, we have a raised hand from Christina. Let's see if we can open up Christina's microphone.
Hello.
Hi, Christina, we can hear you.
Hi. I have a question to Petter. I've been presenting in this webinar, and I've listened to very many presentations, and we have a lot of indications that we need an efficient structure for data sharing, and this is necessary to be able to produce CITS services, efficient ones, and to be able to make them useful. So I'm a little interested to know what are your thoughts about this. You mentioned before that you didn't know exactly what role you should take in this, but who else should take that? Because we need an efficient data sharing on a central level. It's been quite clear for a long time now, since we started working in Nordic Way 2017, right? So we're kind of waiting for the Swedish Transport Administration or the Swedish Transport Agency, somebody who operation throughout the whole country to take this step. It seems to me to be a showstopper right now. So it's really, could you elaborate around that a bit, please?
Yeah, a little bit at least. So to recap a little bit, what I tried to say earlier is that the easy answer is that we are bound by the instructions that we have from the government. So that gives our limitations to what we can do and what we can't do. And this is a case where we see, I would say that we share the view that this is needed. We are right now investigating based on the specific cases that we have ongoing for within our objectives. For example, this case that I mentioned in Gävle, where we see the need for a data sharing capability based on the projects that we are involved in and what we need. So we are now conducting this pre-study. We are also investigating these other projects that is ongoing to understand what specific needs are these initiatives in need for. Hopefully we will present, or we will be ready with this pre-study in beginning of next year, so first quarter or something like that, and then we can foresee that we think that we will find out that okay, what specific needs we have for the projects that we are involved in, and basically that would give the basis for what could be the next step, and that could be for example that we also can launch a procurement, but it's a bit early to say right now that this will be the next step. But this is the preparations that we are going forward with, and but it should also be said that we have some limitation in our in what we can do and what we can't do, which I mentioned that basically our responsibility is the state road network, and so the questions should then basically be be guided towards the government. And of course, this is issues that we are also addressing to some extent in what I mentioned as well in this in our recommendation to the government for the next budget, infrastructure budget. But of course, the infrastructure budget should cover a lot of things. Yeah, I don't know if that was an answer, but it at least is an elaboration on the difficulties that we have, and also a little bit more on what our internal work is that is ongoing right now.
Great, thank you so much, Petter. You're
Thank you.
touching on some of the challenges with the limitations in budget and organizational boundaries, etc. And good to hear about the process that's ongoing. We have a question from Johan Östling. Let's see if we can open up his microphone.
Yes, do you read me?
Yes, hello,
Yes.
Johan.
Hello. Partly, I have the same question as Christina, but I also want to add that I think from the Nordic Gate 1, Nordic Gate 2, and Nordic Gate 3, we also could say that what do we want to do? We don't only have to say that we can do that or shall do that due to the budget. I think we should also say that this we want to do for the project. We need to have some statements from the project. And it's obvious that Norwegian and Finnish, they have done some statements, and in Sweden we are still struggling a little bit. But I think we should be positive and really summarize that from all the project is a positive attitude from the partners that is needed a structure, infrastructure that takes care of this. So how to frame that? And I think that is a responsibility from the both Nordic Way 1, 2, and 3 to framing that. I don't have the solution, but I think that could be important.
That's a good point. And I don't think that that was a comment raised to anyone specific in the panel, but if there's anyone who would like to address that.